Hello, everybody. I gotta make sure I do this all the time. Hold on a second. Let me do it this way. It's been a long time. This is Ivon Reborn. It's been a hot minute, and I wanted to say hi, everybody. It's been a while. I know I've been pretty quiet, and I wanted to share something. I do have some notes, but the fun thing about going through a divorce or right after, especially when you have to go to, through the legal system and through, this week with this parent and this week is that you have to maintain a schedule so that you don't lose track. So I was actually on my calendar and I'm putting in when is going to be our next exchange. And this is where this video comes from. So as I am entering the date, something pops up. And when I see it on my calendar, I literally just phase out. I pause. Why is that? I see the following. July 22nd. It's like an all-day event because you know how you put in birthdays and anniversaries and important dates into your calendar, right? And this is what I see. Ifatobi Omileti's Ocha anniversary. And when I see that, I kind of pause. And I stay stuck there. How do you cope looking at that? I guess that with everything that has happened, I haven't taken it off. And I wrote a couple of things. When you look at that into the calendar, it's almost like mourning because you're looking at a loss of an identity, of what you were celebrating at that time. And I wrote something, and I'm going to try to explain it because it was just like very, very quick. The fear of living in truth, which is your current situation, versus living in what could have been and should have been. And I can only imagine what it is like for certain people who have been through certain things in their lives. Whether, actually, I'm going to get there in a minute. The fear of living, and I don't know if it's a fear. Now that I think about it, it's more like this is your reality. This is what you live in now. I, at that point, would have been planning even weeks ahead on whether I was going to have people over, what I'm going to offer, cook, make for the Orishas. And then, I'm going to cast myself, believe it or not. I used to cast my own coconuts unless my husband did it or unless Irma did it if she was in town. And, that was it. It was one of us. What would that have looked like right now if that would have been? And I think that's an interesting thing because when you go through a situation where you lose a chunk of your spiritual identity due to what has happened, you tend to, it's almost like a death that happens recurringly. And it's funny because I had not even thought about that until I saw my calendar today. And I saw my calendar today, I was like, oh, shit. I should have been prepping. I was not prepping because I'm busy doing other things, right? But no, you live in the current truth, which takes me to those now who live in this is my truth, even if it's incorrect, versus those who have to do a full return to this particular reality, which is exactly where you live in. Very confusing. I'll explain. What if you're living in that current, this is still the right spiritual path, this is still my right, priest, this is still my right guru, this is still my right, this priest is in the right, and in my example, she's wrong. How dare she? So thank goodness that I'm living in this perfect, ile, egbe, whatever, right? There are those who live in that. And there are those who are like, wait a second, after everything that I know, I can't unknown that. And it's interesting because I watched all the videos of Bad Vegan. The reason why I watch it, it kept coming up in my Netflix is because of the whole thing about immortalizing a dog and the whole thing about veganism. And mind you, I was in New York and I'm like, did I go to that restaurant? Because I remember eating at raw restaurants in New York and I like some of them. Oh, they were expensive as hell. I'm not kidding. They were expensive in New York. I went to this one in like 70 something street. Oh my God, it was pricey. It was yummy, but it was so expensive. But anyway, so I'm watching Bad Vegan and you see something in her. I saw something in her as she is explaining things. And she said, you could judge it all you want, but that became like my reality. And as more insane that the world was becoming, that was still my reality. I was in between two worlds. Of course, my story is nothing like her, but I could relate to some things that she was saying. And she was saying, hey, I really did want to believe that. I wanted to believe that this was the right thing. But now I know that it isn't. So when you are now looking into your calendar, for those of you who've been like, where's she been at? And thank you, by the way, for those of you who have sent some messages, It's more like, how did she not know? More than a decade, I thought I was a priestess of Yamaya. So it's interesting, and it's almost like, don't worry, I'm not crying, but it's like nostalgic feeling of, my anniversary would have been coming up. I would have been 13 years this year, I believe. 13. 13 years. Because for almost 11, I was a full functioning priestess. I had attended people's Ochas. I had attended ceremonies. I had participated in quite a lot of things. And that's gone. It never was correct. So I wanted to let you know that nostalgia is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing if you're remembering good things. It's a good thing if you're remembering even something sad, but it was the happy time at a moment. I had some great times. And I don't know, I'm feeling a little nostalgia. I'm remembering some things. I still remember some things that were very beautiful. I'm remembering some things that were pretty mm-mm, I mm-mm, around that time, but it still happened. And for those who say, hey, you should have known, maybe, maybe, but I didn't. And looking at the schedule, it brought me to create this video off the cuff, very short notes. And I don't know if I'm going to delete it. I think I'm going to keep it on my calendar. Maybe I'll delete it someday. What do you think? And I know that there are some of you, I've spoken to some of you who are saying, hey, just move on. Put it behind you. At least you're gone. I'm glad you're that way. I'm just not. And I think I need to be okay with me being who I am and how I am. I've been quiet for many reasons. But I will say this. Nostalgia can bring a lot of things, a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts, and a lot of emotions. The one thing that I want you to know, if you've been in any sort of weird thing, even where you've received something, let's say this is something, right? In the religious community, any religious community, and it turns out to not be real. Know this. You had faith at that moment that this was real. Hold on just to that faith. And the spirit world knows that you thought it was real. Even if you have to do the right thing and get the real thing again, which is this and not this. I'm just trying to make a point. The spirit world knows what was in your heart when you got this. And if you have to think of it in with nostalgia, anger may come, tears may come, that maniacal laugh may come. That's okay. But know that the spirit world knows how you felt when you got this, even if this was not real. And if it was real because you could touch it, but it was given to you by somebody who should not have, understand that the spirit world knows what you felt and the circumstances of when you got this. I've spoken to a few of you who have been in similar situations over the years, even after my coming out video. And expect a couple of things from me in the future. This is to existing priests and no priests, like alejos and aborishas. But to you, you're going to find dos bandos, two sides. And so I'm looking directly at you. You're going to find those that are like, she should have known, he should have known better. And you're going to find, oh, poor thing. Shame on you. Oh, this shouldn't have happened to her. Understand that those two things are always going to happen to you. At the end of the day, it is you who has been through whatever you have been through. You're the one who had to wake up with feeling that way. You're the only one who will ever know what that felt like. You're the one who spent your money. You're the one who had to do those debos. You're the one that went through that, not anyone who's making either comment. And if you are at some point, because I have met some people who have received some things and gone through some things who probably shouldn't have, the spirit world knows what you have been through. I could tell you all day long, just be strong, you got this. And a lot of your friends may be doing the same. Understand, your egos know what you're going through. The spirit world around you knows you better than even you. You do the best that you can. You look at that and you're like, this is what I thought it was at one point. I wish it would have been real so that I could be celebrating my whatever, receiving of blah, 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 or, in my case, anniversary. But it didn't turn out that way. And it's interesting for a very short note how long this video turned out. Anyhow, what are your thoughts? If you are a priest who has never been through this, I understand you're going to have some thoughts. I understand you may have different thoughts because you will have had people, come to you with this happened to me, that happened to me. And I will say this. If you say you should have known, I get it because that's how you would see it. But it's interesting. I recommend everybody to watch Bad Vegan. It was a little slow at times. You could see that she's beat up. Like, not beat up, but just beat up. She's tired. Even as she's talking, it's almost like robotic. And I looked at her and I'm like, girly girl, nobody knows what happened but you. And Only one can judge you, and it's none of us. Even though we have our laws, she really believed in this, or at least was struggling to or not to believe. And when you're in a situation that you believe in someone and what they're telling you, and you really do believe it, you're going to believe it, even if it sounds wrong, even if you find some things that are not quite right, because why would you not? And I wanted to touch on that because looking at Ifatobi, because that was supposedly my Ifa name when I married as Ifa, Omileti, that was my Ocha name, Ocha anniversary. I kind of like went back into a flashback of things that I should have been doing by now. I should have been preparing and already everything should have been bought. I should have been cutting and cooking, or at least planning what I'm going to cook. All the orishas should have been washed by now. These are things that priests will understand. And no, I'm not doing any of that because that's not true. And based on everything that I now know to be true, it's not true. But it brings a sense of sadness, nostalgia, kind of serenity. It gives point of it's ominous. It is true. It is very, very real. It's very serious. And if you've ever been through anything that you've been deceived by anyone, understand that you are not that deception. It is just something that happened to you. But it doesn't take away the weight of everything that happened because of it. Understand that if somebody is judging you, they haven't walked in your shoes. Even if you agreed to things and you may have thought that they were wrong, even if you paid for it, even if anything happened, even if you believed that first, but then you started having doubts, only you know what happened. Only you know what was done to you. Only you know how you felt. Only you know. And only the almighty forces can be the ones that judge you at the end. Your eguns are there with you. No one else can do that. All I pray is that we all kind of find our own tribe and we continue going forward. To those of you, I understand maybe not your exact position, but I can empathize. And at least I understand your process. Know that you're not alone. And I understand the weight of not even thinking about it and going forward. And I get it, but it doesn't help. You know what I'm trying to say? This weekend, I just wanted to say I miss you all. Hopefully, I'll be doing a lot more content. And it was me staring into that calendar that really made me like, oh, I need to do this. So, you know what? Happy summer 2024. I miss you. See, that's a boy. We're giving thanks today. And keep cool, keep good. Understand that the judges are up there in the spirit realm and they're watching and they're seeing everything. And you could lie to yourself and you could, try to hide on how things don't bother you and how it's okay and but only you know. So I wanted to let you know on July 22nd, 2024 would have been my Ocha anniversary, and nope. And it's better to live in the real truth versus something that is not. And I feel like I will have earned that when it does happen. Just wanted to share some nostalgic thoughts. Share your comments below. I miss you. I can't wait to really start up again. I have responded to some of you. I just wanted to say thank you for your support. For those of you who question, why not? Somebody has to send the questions. And maybe it's good because then it will help others understand. But I wanted to share my thoughts on this nostalgic event on my calendar. Anyhow, may your elevated ancestors be there for you. May your spirit guides rock with you. May they continue to elevate and not fall backwards so that they can always guide you. Bye.